Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, I'm going to be talking about our favorite subject, a forehand. But we're actually going to be talking about my forehand and the evolution of it. Stay tuned. Oh, hey. Oh,
good morning.
My gosh. Elliot's here.
There you go.
If you guys haven't met, this is Elliot, my favorite UPS guy. And he's the hardest working UPS guy I know. He's here every day, takes 1 month off in January, and then comes back for Valentine's Day just to deliver me more stuff. Elliot, say hi to the guys.
Hello. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. All right, so I'm talking about forehand today. Forehand, my particular forehand and the evolution of it. So I've actually called in Coach Rob because I was taught the way that Coach Rob teaches. So I got Coach Rob coming in right now. And, oh, there he is. Okay, so Coach Rob, I was taught the way you teach. I don't know if you teach it this way, but the way you play.
At least the way I still hit it.
Correct.
Right.
That's what I was getting at. Of how to hit a forehand. And I obviously don't do that now, as most of you know. But I'm going to tell you guys why I decided to make this video. Because when I started learning, like I held it like this, like everybody else, guys, a continental grip. And obviously my idol was John McEnroe. And John McEnroe, with the left hand, well, I'm going to do it with the right, would basically just kind of scoop. Like he just scooped and slapped just like this. So as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid, I wanted to do the same thing. So I very much just kind of short hopped everything and kind of just punched it back just like this. So I kind of never really learned how to hit a proper forehand with this grip. As I got older and started playing more, like everybody said, stop hitting it like that. You're not Johnny Mac. So I was like, okay, well, fine. So I was like, so how am I supposed to hit this then? Because I was literally just short hopping everything, slapping it right back just like that, which worked for me because I became like a great pusher at a young age. I just got to the ball and just scooped it, got it back, scooped it, got it back. So I was taught the classic turn with the racket, step, and hit. And I was kind of never comfortable with that. I felt like this shoulder never really opened up properly into that shot, especially with this grip. So for those of you who are kind of getting into the game, when you hold a continental grip like this, you actually don't hit it like this. You actually have to lay it back like that. So, I mean, people keep saying, shake hands with the racket, shake hands with the racket. Well, how am I supposed to hit it when I'm shaking hands with the racket? Not like this. So there's a little more to it. You have to actually lay it back like that. And then kind of do this. All right. So that's what I'm saying. Coach Rob does it way better. So what were they teaching me wrong, or what was I doing wrong that it made me feel so uncomfortable?
Sometimes when we were starting out back in the day, it would look like we were trying to teach you to be robotic and kind of Tin Man-like, where you could see just from watching Harry, he was very stiff and very controlled. As Harry was turning and he was being a little more on the robotic side, what we're trying to do is get his lower half to turn, getting him to step, getting his hips and shoulders to rotate, and catching the follow through over his shoulder. That will free him up versus trying to block it and feeling stuck, because if his body's not rotating and he's not using his legs and his core, then it's all arm. And you'll see that that's hard to do. It feels awkward. Your spacing's not right. Your arm's probably going to hurt. So, you just have to be able to get yourself set up right and make a smooth swing.
Great point. But here's one thing, Coach Rob. Here's one thing. When when they started teaching me this technique of turn, step, hit, right? They always said, don't open the shoulders so much. So essentially, in my mind, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do this of some sort, because they didn't want me to do this. They wanted me to do. I felt like they wanted me to do this.
And there was times, and on different shots, you can follow through a little bit differently. If there you were trying to hit like a passing shot or hit something low and hard, you're probably going to stay behind the ball and not follow through as high. Let's say it's a deeper ball and you're trying to hit more higher, get some more net clearance and depth in court, then you're probably going to follow through a little higher.
Right.
So it kind of could depend on what shot they were trying to get you to hit at the time, or that's just the style they were trying to keep you swinging out through the ball, so you were staying behind the ball as long as you could.
The thing that changed was literally we went from John McEnroe, lefty, Jimmy Connors, lefty. I didn't have a right-handed person to emulate. I mean, Stefan Edberg had a serve and volley game. I mean, there was no hero, let's say, for me until like Agassi came along.
Sampras, Agassi.
Yeah. And Agassi, Agassi was, kind of the rock star of tennis. When he started hitting it with his semi-Western grip, or Western grip, I forget how it looked, but it was at least a semi-Western grip. I'm like, I understand that a little bit more, because, once in a while I would literally, hit it open stance. I would open up the racket a little bit, do that, and the coaches would say, don't do that. That's bad form. And I'm like, that feels comfortable.
Right, right. Well, I know in my forehand, I risked up a little bit more at the end, just trying to get more topspin that way. And I know back in the day, they were like, don't wrist it. And I couldn't get enough net clearance if I just stayed kind of super, super flat. I mean, I hit the ball fairly flat as it is. So I kind of risked it up. And now all the time you'll see people, So I think it just evolves with how you're built, how it feels good to you. Taller players are going to have an easier time with the higher ball. Players, they don't like to bend when they're tall. So if you're a little bit shorter, that ball is going to feel, your strike zone is going to be there where mine's going to be a little bit higher.
Right. And
how you set up and prepare to hit the shot is going to, you'll find that comfort zone in your swing. So everybody, as you look, everybody swings a little bit differently.
Right. So I went from Continental, obviously, following Agassi to right here, which was a lot more comfortable. So I went here to there because it was just a lot easier for me to kind of open up and swing through like that. And the other thing that I kind of gained was, like, now I no longer could hit it kind of with the shoulder stuck here. I'd have to open up and do that and hit it through, which made it feel a lot more open to me, because now I have all this space to work with and not be kind of constricted.
Right.
So I went from literally getting cramped in, which is what I was feeling, to now letting it rip a little bit more.
Right. And as you notice, Harry just did a loop. So he took the racket back. He evolved and made his racket go in like the letter C. He started doing that. And when he was younger, it was all about just kind of going from your pocket to your shoulder. And when he was younger, we probably had a little, it was always choke up on the racket or get a smaller racket. Your arms weren't as long. So everything was closer. And now as we grow, our arms are longer. Our strike zone's farther away. You're hopefully hitting the ball towards the end of the racket.
Right. And then as I grew into this grip, I also grew into more spin and wrist, like you're talking about. So, I mean, I literally, like that, and then I ripped up. I feel like I was one of the first people after watching Agassi to actually let go of that wrist. I actually struck and let go of that wrist.
You started hitting around the ball a little bit more.
Right, and that just felt comfortable to me. I could just let it go. You know,
Right.
This shoulder was no longer in the way. This hand was no longer in the way, kind of a thing. So it was just let it go. And as I evolved, I actually even went more over. Like I feel like the more nervous I got in a match, the racket went from semi to full extreme Western. You know, at some point I feel like I was actually almost heading to this bevel right here. To this bevel, instead of being right here, I was like all the way down to here. And because people tell me back in the day that I'm literally like that when I hit it. And I was like, I guess the more nervous I got, the more I turned it over, because I just want to impart so much spin on it to keep the ball in.
Right.
So, I mean, I evolved from here, continental, to semi, right, to Western, and at times like an extreme Western. So I mean, what do you think of that as a coach?
If it works for you, Harry. So Harry evolved and I didn't evolve. I may have actually gone over a little bit more Eastern, and then as I just taught more and hit flatter balls, trying to get it into student strike zones, I've probably migrated back over more to continental.
Well, yeah, you're teaching though.
Right. And
Yeah.
so in teaching so much and playing very little, even now when I go play occasionally, I'm still in that. That's just the grip I hold. It was serving and volleying, hitting a few ground strokes.
Right.
I just stay in this grip. So
Right.
I've probably gone the other way. But,
Well, what we're talking about is the Continental is probably the best grip for teaching, you know, because you're basically doing this all day. You're doing this all day, and then as they hit it back to you, you can just volley, you know, either way, kind of a thing. And so you kind of get used to that.
right. And
over
if you were
time.
teaching in this grip,
Yeah,
you'd be
no.
hitting a lot of heavy topspin at your
Right.
student,
Right.
and the ball would be jumping, and they couldn't react to that because they hadn't, their games hadn't developed to that point.
I'm actually going to go out on the court now and show you what I did and why I did it. Okay? Stay tuned. All right, so I'm on the court. Got my man, Coach Rob, the master of the Continental grip. I'm gonna see if I can hit a Continental forehand right now. So I'm shaking hands with the racket. Right? Am I in the right spot?
Yep,
even?
there you go. Let's do it.
Okay. So Coach Rob, maybe it's been too long because it's been like 20 years. Because when I bring it back, I want to, like this shoulder wants to go, and then this doesn't want to go because I feel like I'm used to my contact point being here, but with this grip, I feel like I need to be a little further back.
Right off that front toe.
Yeah. So
Yep.
versus out here.
Right.
So that's so what I'm doing is I'm basically taking it probably a little early, and it wants to go up.
There was a few that went up. Correct. There was a few that did go skyward.
Because to me this is, I don't know, this is kind of flushed flat, and then therefore I'm like just pushing it up in the air.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how we did it back in the day.
Man, I don't remember it, but it's been too long for me. So my first reaction is I keep wanting
You kept
to turn.
changing- you kept
I keep
moving your
wanting
hand
to
over a little
turn.
bit.
I keep wanting to turn.
Right.
So what grip is it when I hold it like this?
That I would go. You're a little more Eastern that way,
That's Eastern there.
and then as you keep going, you're going more Western.
Okay. Okay. So this even feels foreign to me right here. This feels foreign to me. I mean, I feel like when I saw Agassi, I mean, I kind of went all the way that way there.
Right.
So
Yeah, I could never make the.
let's.
I got it over to Eastern when I
Uh-huh.
was playing a lot, but then after teaching for so long and having to hit a ball that was going to land just right, it just started becoming more feeding in for more shots that way, so it was just easier to sit in Continental.
I got an idea, guys. Let's see if Coach Rob can hit a Western grip. Let's go behind Coach Rob. Let's see if he can evolve into me. So, Coach Rob, how did it feel with my grip? You did well. You did well.
I hit a few that were over. I have to honestly say I cheated a little bit. I wasn't full Western there. I had a couple that were a little more Eastern where I was able to make sure I looked under the ball and really got under and up it. And yeah, it was fine until I decided I better really try and get over there. And then the shanks and the misses and the interesting shots came out.
Right. Right. That's okay. You look fine doing it. I think with a little more practice, you could do that all day long.
Maybe.
So, Coach Rob, do you understand like my evolution though? Like because from going like this, like you, to going like this.
Right. Totally. Because when we went with wood rackets, because we're both close in the same age, we grew up with wood and metal, and everything was, you know, flat, chip, get to the net, volley. You weren't really hitting a lot of heavy topspin as when we were learning. So, you know, our net clearance was probably this high, you know.
When it was flat, it was like here.
Yeah, it was great. You had to be within the grip.
Right.
But then, you know, obviously we realized there's more above the just the grip to be able to get the ball to roll over and land and kick up high and be above people's strike zones.
Right.
So, yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to show you real quick just where I'm at right now. So I went from pretty much semi-Western and into full Western. And I still kind of go between here and here, depending on how I'm feeling that day. For some reason, when I'm nervous or I'm not comfortable, I actually go more Western, more extreme, because I want to cut the ball more. I want to spin the ball more. I'm not sure why that is. I'm afraid to hit through it when I'm a little nervous or unsure.
Right. You're looking for a higher net clearance, safer. Right. You're trying to play safe.
Right. Yeah, so the more I'm nervous, the more I come. Actually, sometimes I go all the way over like this.
Oh.
Like I go like that, and I'm basically just on this the whole time.
My wrist.
So it's just like a nice rainbow all the time. But I'll show you that right now. So flattening it out even on a Eastern, almost semi-Western, didn't quite feel comfortable today, as you saw. So when I pulled it over a little bit more, I got a lot more comfortable with the shot.
Right.
I got a lot more clearance with the shot.
Yep.
How did it look on the other side?
It came over, bounced up high. It was a lot down the line, so it was a lot of your forehand to my backhand. I'm sure you could hit it cross court, but we got a nice rhythm and rally going, so that was good.
Yeah. So that's my evolution. I mean, I pretty much went from continental to pretty much extreme Western.
You've tried all the bevels on the grip.
Yeah, and every bevel I just didn't work until I went all the way over. So it was kind of like frying my egg. But that's the evolution of my forehand. that I had to do, because just for my tennis sanity, I couldn't hit it with a Continental anymore. But my man, Coach Rob here, stuck with it. Well, he's also a teaching pro, so it's easier for him to kind of feed the ball like that. So it's easier for the person on the other side to hit it.
To get a ball right at waist height where they can then learn how to strike the ball correctly at waist height.
Right. So I want to thank Coach Rob for hanging out with me today and talking about the evolution of my jacked up forehand. All right. Thank you, Coach Rob. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Finally,
I was expecting at
look
least
what I
50
got.
boxes.
Balls, but yeah, no, I was expecting 40 cases. That's still coming, though.
Oh, okay.
That is still coming.
I'll make sure to take that day off.
Looks like I got 8 cases of balls to tide me over for a little while.
Probably for a day.
Exactly. All right. Thanks a lot,
All
man.
right.
Appreciate
Have a good
it. Thank you.